I'm just here. I just sort of bring the bants, the bants along, and bring the good looks.
Ruesha was a top player to be with. I think in the changing room you need a personality like hers. To go from, I'd like to say I was a starting 11 player to then all of a sudden not, was a big drop, and it affected me more than I let on. Growing up through the England youth age groups, seeing the setup there compared to a setup with Philippines, something completely different. They're still getting the buy-in from their version of the FA. They're still learning how to create a high-performance environment, but if one little girl with an Asian heritage and Asian background wants to get into football, then it means I'm doing something right.
Are you two allowed to talk to each other?
I'm okay now. I can't say I was buzzing at the time.
It's something so special to go to such a big tournament. It's what dreams are made of, isn't it?
When you're a player, you only think about yourself, right? Coaching and managing is like chaotic. The younger players that are coming through, we talk about growth mindset. They are really thirsty to challenge themselves.
You've been in dance. At what point did you think, I'm going to get a ball involved here? Like, that's so fascinating.
I think I was sort of rebelling, to be honest with you, because dancing didn't work out for me. I had like a clear vision that I wanted to become one of the best in the sport. But I became world champion so quickly, like after 3 years. I wasn't ready for it, but it happened because anything can happen in freestyle competitions.
Hello and welcome back to The Kickback. Sadly, we are without Shaban today. She's not very well, so we're sending her all our best wishes for a speedy recovery. And unfortunately, that means you're stuck with me, producer Beau, alongside the one and only Ruesha Littlejohn, and Everton's Maz Pacheco is in the house as well. So coming up on the show today, Wales's Carrie Jones tells us all about that historic Euros experience and what it's like playing in Sweden. Plus, Northern Ireland coach Tanya Oxtoby talks about the transition from player to manager. And we've also got Freestyle Football World Champion who's going to pop in and give us a few tips and tricks. So stay tuned for all of that and much, much more. I mean, this feels really weird. This kind of feels a bit illegal. Like, I don't know what's going on right now.
You're doing great. It's fantastic, yeah.
I can read. At least I can read.
You can read.
I mean, what are you doing?
I'm just here. I just sort of bring the bants, the bants along, and bring the good looks. That's it.
Not much then.
No, not much. Yeah. Not much.
Don't
Anyway, Miami, how are you? Talk to us.
Good.
How's life?
Well, it's very good. I mean, happy seeing your face, of course.
I've seen you twice recently.
I know.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, I know.
I was going to say, I think Maz, I saw you, we filmed Leanne's show a couple of weeks ago. You've been on this show over at the Euros, over in Switzerland. Obviously, Ruesha wasn't here. And then you were in here when we filmed with Alicia as well. So I feel like you're like part of the furniture now. And you saw
I feel like I'm moving
Rue at the Legends of Football last week. So I'm like, you must be sick of the sight of probably both of us.
Both of you. Yeah, to be fair though, get on with both of you, don't I? So it's good fun. And Ruesha, I couldn't get rid of Aston Villa.
That's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
Did you guys meet at Villa, start playing at Villa, or did you know each other before then?
Villa.
Villa, yeah. I knew of Miami because there's this beautiful looking girl that used to run about football. Our Filipino princess, Miami. But no, it was at Villa we sort of first met, and Maz looked after me. She let me stay some nights at hers.
I know.
That was nice. Cooked me dinner, tucked me in at night.
Good chef, I think.
Yeah.
I think you'd say, wouldn't you?
Very good chef.
You got taken care of.
Although you've not cooked for me in ages, so
I mean,
that's got to be on the list soon.
I feel like you should be paying it back.
I'll just take you out for dinner. How about that?
We'll do that. We'll do that in London, no problem.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, was Ruesha like a good influence on you, or was she? 'Cause, we know some of the stories. So, what was she like to play with?
Do you want an honest answer?
Yeah, always. We want the truth on this show.
No, yeah, Ruesha was a top player to be with. I think in the changing room you need a personality like hers.
Yeah.
Someone who's light-hearted but can also set the standards, and that's definitely what you've done, I think. And being a midfielder, very much you need someone who talks, you need someone who communicates but also can do the job, and she's very much that person.
That's so beautiful of you.
Yeah.
That's really nice.
I made it last night.
Pre-wrote it. What's the most shocking thing that she's ever said in the dressing room? Can you tell us that?
I'm not sure I can.
It's not okay for the show.
No. Ruesha, you've had some wild stories. I love Ruesha's stories.
Yeah, me too.
There's a few. Do you know what? We're sitting at pre-match yesterday, and then it gets talking, and then you know how I like to play the scenario game. What if?
Yeah.
What if this? And then it got on to more stories and about one of my dreams. I don't know if you'd heard about this dream.
No.
I don't know if this will get aired or not, but basically in the dream, I was like, I'd slept with my brother. And I was like...
I've heard this dream before.
I was like, oh my God. In the dream thinking... So I didn't dream this happening, but it was like the aftermath of me being like pure guilty, embarrassed, shame, thinking no one can know about this. And I woke up and it was like pure relief, like thank for that. Like that was actually a dream. Anyway, the girls, I think after that point are quite disgusted by me and I don't really think they like me, so...
I feel like you've just cancelled yourself from your team.
No more playing in that game.
Have you spoken to your brother about it?
I told him, he was just like... He wasn't really, He's like, that's fine, hun. That's fine, chick. You do you. So...
Kind of used to it. Yeah. Well, let's talk a little bit about you, Maz. I mean, you've moved back up to Liverpool to play for Everton. Yeah. And we've kind of spoken before about, you know, that move back and what was like the decision-making behind that and being a bit closer to home, I guess.
Yeah, it was an interesting summer. Obviously, I didn't expect to leave Villa. I thought I had my foothold in there for so many years, isn't it? And I was comfortable, and I think it was a blessing in disguise that they let me go. I needed a fresh start, a new vamp in how I look at football and what I want and how professional do I want to be and get to the next level. And I think when Everton come in and I jumped on the call with Brian, he's very methodical, he's very tactical, and I wanted to be in an environment that you can learn and that you can grow. And he always said to me he wants 2 in every position, which is normal in any football team, but for him, it was very much you need to win your shirt, you need to grow, you need to do X, Y, Z. He knew what I needed to work on, which matched my goals and my vision of myself. And yeah, it was a no-brainer, to be honest. And yeah, just kicking off this season well.
Talk to us about that, obviously being a player that plays at a very high level. You've got a lot of qualities, a lot of strengths, but to then be at Aston Villa, where you've been there a long time and then suddenly things are changing. How's that as a player, like, mentally?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. I think to go from, I'd like to say I was a starting 11 player to then all of a sudden not was a big drop, and it affected me more than I let on. And the girls, I guess, you know what you get with me, isn't it? With training, I'll train my hardest, I'll play my hardest, whatever minutes I'll get. But in terms of mentally, it was a tough toll to take. And seeing the changes, you know, you want the club to do well. I bought into Villa, I bought into the project, and for them to think that I'm not a part of it anymore, it was tough. It was so hard, and I was sad leaving the club. But I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I needed this fresh start. I needed to get my nutrition in place, do extra away from the training ground. So I'm training now, but then I'll go home, do my extra gym session, go for the runs that I need to do because I know the numbers that I want to hit. And yeah, I think it was a blessing in disguise.
I think that's good to hear, because it's like, even though it was tough and things were going wrong, you might at the time be going, that's not right, but you can step away and like almost reflect and go, well, what can I control? How can I do more?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's important these days, because you look at young players come through and I think they really struggle with that side of the game.
No, definitely. I think being honest with yourself and knowing the standard that you want to get to, we all want to be professional footballers, and we all want to be playing at the high level, but to get there, we need to make the right choices. And I feel like maybe in the last year of Villa, I weren't making the right choices. And yeah, I needed that step away to reflect on myself and reflect the type of player and person that I want to be. And hopefully it's showing in my games this season.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I think it definitely is, because we saw that debut. I believe you are the only Evertonian to score, to make 2 or more assists on their debut. I mean, how was that? That must have been like the debut of dreams, really.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, for me, playing at Anfield was amazing. Obviously, growing up in the city and starting the league there was unreal. And I always said from the start, I want to be an impact player. I feel like that word gets thrown about just for substitutes, but it has to be for the starting 11 as well. I want to make an impact, regardless if that's my defending, my attacking, winning my duels. I think the first half, I didn't have a great first half, so I needed to up my game. But yeah, the assist definitely levelled it out for me.
Yeah.
Good for you. Also, was just complimenting you before we came on air here about how you're looking. You're looking very lean, you're looking very fit.
Yeah, I mean, choices, isn't it? I feel like I see it in the women's game. We love to go for a coffee, we love to have that little sweet tooth, and I don't know, that was one thing where I was like, those little changes make a difference. It makes a difference in how you play, it makes a difference in how you feel, how you look, how you impact the game. And long story, you know, I was working on my speed at Villa. I've got faster now. Like I'm stripping down, I'm losing my fat percentage, and you know, I don't shy away from the numbers, but there's a goal that I want to achieve. So,
Stop looking at me when you said about sweets and coffees, wine. But no, that's great. I'll have a wee catch up with you after the show, and we can maybe get a wee Maz's cooking vlog on the go.
I think we might need to, because I mean, I think I've been indulging in a few extra sweet treats recently, and it's just so hard when you're like in an office and like, you know, you bring in your meal prep, but then someone goes out and they get cake, and you're like, well, it'd be really rude not to have some.
And it's someone's birthday, and then oh no, I know.
Like, do you want to go for
winter.
coffee? And then you're like, oh, well, I might as well have a pastry if I'm going all out.
Honestly,
like,
I get it, but yeah, I knew I wanted to cut. I knew I wanted a goal to achieving, and yeah, making the right choices was something that I stick by.
And also, you've been playing for the Philippines. Talk to us about that. How are you finding that?
So I went on 2 training camps. Still haven't got my passport, so it's a bit up in the air. There's a bit of struggle there, but yeah, it's definitely different. Obviously, growing up through the England youth age groups, seeing the setup there compared to a setup with Philippines, something completely different. They're still getting the buy-in from their version of the FA. They're still learning how to create a high-performance environment. But I'm lucky in terms of the coaching staff around, and the people around the setup really want to buy into it. And the girls are amazing. You know, they're light-hearted. They're a good group, and they want to achieve things, which is what you want.
Do you think you'll see more girls from the Philippines maybe coming overseas?
I hope so. I mean, we've got already Alyssa Thompson for Chelsea, that young American girl. She's half Filipino, so yeah, I've got 2 of us in the league now.
There you go. There you go.
Flying the flag proudly.
is that something that you're kind of conscious of? Is like representation something that you're striving towards, or is that kind of just something that like you're not maybe as aware of?
No, definitely. I feel like I have a role to play in that. Being half Filipino, I'm very proud of my roots, and I have no problem celebrating that and leading the way. And for me, playing for Philippines was a no-brainer. I want to play on the international stage, and in March, I think it's the Asian Cup, so to play against Australia, Japan, you know, these world-class players, it's something that you want to do. And if one little girl who's half Filipino, quarter, or not even Filipino, just with an Asian heritage, an Asian background, wants to get into football, then it means I'm doing something right.
Yeah, and we've kind of seen that, I guess, with like the Euros and everything, and we've seen like the growth of women and girls wanting to play football in this country, and it would be so lovely, wouldn't it, to be able to do that for your own country as well?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like Philippines is definitely a growing sport. It's not the first sport, but with the girls doing well at the World Cup, it's definitely grown some interest, and yeah, we've definitely got more girls playing, which is important.
Yeah. Not to be negative, but let's talk about the weekend. Obviously not the result that you wanted against United.
No.
But what are you taking away from that game? What's the kind of the feeling in the dressing room going forwards into your next game?
It's something that we were, heartbroken with, because we did take the lead. We took the lead of the corner in the first half. Hannah was a great little toey into the goal. But, you know, for us, we want to create more chances. I think there's only so much defensively you can take on. I mean, we know at Villa, if you take on wave after wave, at one point, they are going to get through. And we need to alleviate that pressure up top and get some chances up top and cut through teams in their half, in their territory. And that was our problem that we didn't do against United. We didn't get them in their half. It was very much, you know, getting their pressure, and that was something that we were frustrated with. You know, they had a lot of time on the ball. We weren't getting around the second balls, and that kind of loses games. You're already on the back foot when you need to be proactive in what you do. So that's definitely something that we want to get right against Nottingham.
Yeah. Do you kind of have like little debriefs after the game? How do you kind of, I guess, feed back to each other?
Yeah, it's before the game, half time, after. Brian comes in, he does his, from a manager's perspective, what he wants, and then he'll leave the room, and then captains take over, and that's when you get at each other. People say what they want, get things off the chest. Yes, it can be heated, but you need to strive for better. If we're in this little rut where we're not getting the wins, we're not getting the results that we need, you need to be not picking apart each other, but saying this needs to be better, we need to be doing this. And luckily for us, our group are very open with that.
What is the ambitions for Everton this season as a club?
I think the owners have showed the backing. I feel like everyone from the outside in can see that, and we can feel that as players. For us, it's one game at a time. Obviously, we can say top 4, but we need to be winning the games in and around us, the Tottenhams, the London Cities, West Ham, all them games we need to be ticking off comfortably first before we can start looking at the top 4.
How have you found working with Brian? I know a few players that have worked under him before, and I think he's got a very set way of how he wants to play. How have you found that, and have you learned anything from it?
Yeah, it's very different to go from a style that's so open and you can do your spin on it to then a very methodical, tactical way of playing. I understand his ways. I understand what he wants, very black or white, which is what you want as a player. But yeah, it took some adjustment, but you got to buy into it. That's his game plan. That's what he wants. And for me, it's just we need to do our jobs. If that's what he wants, that's what we set out. We do it to our best ability, and then we reflect after if it doesn't work.
I wanted to ask you about Ornella as well, because obviously her debut for Everton too, the same as you, and she was kind of the talk of the weekend, wasn't she, with that hat-trick?
Yeah, she's fantastic.
What's it been like playing with her?
Yeah, she's good. She's very, I'd say, raw talent. She, I say Brian has a way of playing. She puts her spin on it. So yeah, he wants certain things, but she'll have that creative mindset, that individuality that you need. And unfortunately, if we can't get the ball to her, we can't get the service that she needs. She needs to create things on her own, and you know that's someone who can, which is amazing for us. Yeah,
I mean that kind of just, I guess, takes the pressure off maybe a little bit, that you have someone in the team that can like be creative with those chances, right?
Yeah, of course. And she's still so young, so she's still got so much to learn and grow, and fresh in the league, and she's very ambitious. And yeah, you want that player in a 9. You need a player like that. You need someone that's got a bit about them, a bit of spark. So yeah, it's definitely a joy to play with her.
Yeah, and in terms of like your relationship, is there anything that you guys do to like, I guess, get to know each other? And like, I'm so interested in how, because obviously you communicate like on the pitch when you're playing, but say you've never played together, like how do you get to know each other so that you know like her style, she knows your style, but maybe also like off the pitch, like that bonding as well?
Yeah, I feel like, I don't know if you do it at Palace, but obviously team bonding away helps, but we've got quite a bit of a language barrier at Everton. We've got a lot of nationalities, so sometimes that's caused us some miscommunication. But it's definitely in and around the training ground. We make sure we eat breakfast together, we eat lunch together. We try and do things like once a week with each other, but it's more getting to know each other away from the pitch, I would say, isn't it, for it to then click?
Yeah, definitely. And I think, look, when you're in a squad of, 24, 25 women, not everyone's always going to get on, and you're going to naturally gravitate towards certain people, and that's okay. But I think when it's on the pitch, it's kind of, you buy in, like you're saying, you buy in, you fight for each other, you stick to the game plan, that's important. But naturally, you're going to be closer to certain players. So I've felt like that. You'll have a group of players that are like, will not want to go out for a drink. You'll have a group of players that are happy just going for a coffee, but it's just trying to buy into each other and make time for each other. But yeah, like I say, you're not always going to be best friends with everyone, but that's football and that's women.
Yeah, well, it is. But I know you're big on that though, aren't you? Like that bonding does help you on the pitch.
100%. I think if you're close to each other, you're going to happily play harder for each other, and you're going to be able to speak to each other about things that you have to speak about, if it's critical stuff, but it's feedback and it's to help you grow and be a good team. So yeah, it's definitely important.
Yeah, I didn't like Ruesha to start off with, and then she goes.
Do you know what? I think that's a common theme. I think a few people might have said that before.
I get some bad rep. I get bad rep from a lot of people that don't know me, and then know me and go, oh, you're actually all right.
Yeah.
And I'm like, don't know where the story's come from. I know, fine.
Yeah.
Just misunderstood.
Yeah.
Do you ever have things where like you'll say something and like people maybe like take it the wrong way, like even if you're trying to give it like constructive criticism, and then they're like, you know, you can butt heads over like, oh, but I played my way, or you know, however it is?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like girls can take it the wrong way, especially in the heat of the moment, isn't it? When we've got sensitive players, that actually frustrates me more, because it's like you just want to play football. It's not personal. It's nothing to do with personalities. You just want the best for each other, and I think that's where people can clash, isn't it?
Times are definitely changing. The younger generation coming through, it's a different kind of, you talk differently. Like me being an older player, you're obviously in that kind of lower age than me, but you came through the system of shouting, swearing, that was normal. That was normal. But now, like, I think with the younger players coming through, you have to talk a bit differently. It's got to be more positive and more encouragement, or you just lose people. But then again, you get older people, and I think how I speak, obviously with Glasgow accent, even when I'm saying good things, it comes across very aggressive. Yeah, very aggressive. But I think that's just getting to know your players too, isn't it?
Yeah, no, of course. But I do think, some of the softies, I would say, just need to grow. I
think that would be me, you know, like it's even kind of similar in the media industry. You get like the old school people who were just used to kind of running riot, doing everything that they wanted to do, shouting, swearing in the office. And I'm just like, please don't shout at me.
Sensitive soul.
I'm a very sensitive soul. So I'm not sure quite how well I do at football, minus the fact that I can't even play football. So, you know.
No, fair. I feel like it's like a balance. If you have a balance of positivity and then when you need to be like I don't know, concise and clear, then they can take it well. But if someone's doing it for all the wrong reasons, then it gets a bit out of hand.
Yeah. Well, Maz, thanks so much for joining us. I mean, thanks for putting up with me. I'm a poor man Shaban, although upstairs actually there is one of my colleagues does call me Mini Ban. He's coined that nickname, Mini Shaban.
Why not?
So I don't really know what I've done to earn that, but thanks for putting up with
thanks for having
me and Ruesha today, and good luck at Everton as well. We can't wait to see, to watch the rest of the season.
Yeah, me too. Thank you for having me.
Thank you, Mayumi.
Our next guest was part of that Welsh team that made history in qualifying for their first ever Euros, and she's also currently playing over in Sweden. Carrie Jones joins us now. Carrie, how are you? I mean, first of all, I feel like we've maybe got to address the elephant in the room. Are you two allowed to talk to each other? Because obviously you scored that winning goal against Republic of Ireland to qualify for the Euros. Is that okay? Are we good with each other?
I'm okay now. I can't say I was buzzing at the time, but it's okay. I'm happy for you. Do you know what? Actually, when you play for like smaller nations, I think you appreciate other nations doing well that are smaller, not the big giants all the time. So how was Euros? Obviously, I know some of your teammates at Crystal Palace, and they're a good group of girls. So how was the experience?
It was like an unbelievable experience. I think, I can relate with being from a smaller nation. I think it's something so special to go to such a big tournament, and especially with Wales being the first time going there. It was a surreal experience, and being so young and having to experience that, I feel so lucky. And obviously it didn't go how we wanted it to go, but no, I think it was something that, it's what dreams are made of, isn't it? From a smaller nation going on the big stage.
It's something to build on though, isn't it? Like you said, it's maybe not the ending that you would have wanted, but I'm guessing the response that you've had since coming back and seeing the growth of women's football in Wales as well, that's something that you can now build on and work towards the next one.
Yeah, definitely. And I think, having coming back from the tournament and, seeing the response, like you said, it's been huge. And I think this is just the start. The growth in the women's game in Wales has come on leaps and bounds over the past few years. And it does just feel like the beginning of something very special for women's football in Wales.
How are you finding life over in Sweden? Obviously, you've played in WSL, WSL2 and stuff like that, experienced the taste of all that, international football. What is it like now adapting and adjusting to being in Sweden?
I think it kind of, I think I adjusted quite quick. Obviously, I'm in such a great team that have helped me adjust so quickly, and the teammates have been great since coming here. And so far, I'm really loving life out in Sweden. Obviously, it's a bit different to being back home in England in the two leagues, in WSL 1 and 2. But I feel like I've had so much growth since coming here, and that's exactly what I wanted. I wanted to see the ball a lot more. I'm sure you can relate. Like as a centre midfielder, you just want to see the ball, and being young and to see the ball in a top level football, I think that's quite difficult. So coming here, I think it was huge for me. I'm thoroughly enjoying it so far.
I feel like in football, we all get fixated on probably playing in England, obviously, because it's got the hype around it, like it is meant to be one of the best leagues in the world and stuff like that. But how do you feel about that? Do you think you should encourage like other younger players like yourself to go out and experience playing abroad?
Yeah, 100%. I think I couldn't encourage it enough for younger players. Obviously now, you know, the WSL is the best league in the world, so that it attracts a lot of players. And I think for young players like myself, it's probably hard to, you know, get a foot in and get minutes and see the ball. So I definitely encourage a lot of young players to, you know, seek other places, especially outside of the UK. I think there's so much more opportunities, and you know, the level of talent is really, really high over in Sweden.
And you mentioned it's obviously different to the WSL. I'm interested to hear about like what some of those differences are, and also where Sweden is, because we saw at the Euros that there's maybe a big gap between where some nations are, like football over here, versus some smaller nations. And also we saw it like even at the rugby, like we saw Canada runners up having to crowdfund their journey to the Rugby World Cup, and they finished second. Where kind of is Sweden in terms of its women's football, and also what are some of those like big differences between the Swedish league and the WSL or WSL2?
Yeah, I think I've been asked this question a lot, and I think on the pitch, I think there's not too many differences. Obviously, I'd say the WSL is a lot more physical. And I feel like in Sweden, there's a lot of young players coming through. There's a lot of really good talent up and coming. But I think the way that the WSL's growing so fast, I think that's huge. And I think, you know, the Damallsvenskan can take, can kind of look at that and to kind of encourage the growth in the women's game in Sweden as well. Obviously, the Sweden national team have been huge and have been for a while now. But I think, you know, at my club, we have some good crowds. And I think that's something really special to be a part of, and experiencing football outside of the UK. There's like a different feeling around it, like the fans. But yeah, I'd say there's not too many differences. There are quite a few similarities, but I think it's a very valuable experience.
And you scored your first goal as well in an IFK shirt about 2 weeks ago now. How was that? How does that rank in terms of goals you've scored in your career?
I don't think it tops the one against Ireland. But no, I'm very happy. I've been here a year now. I feel like it's been a long time coming. So I think it feels like it's been a frustrating period. I feel like I'm someone that wants to create opportunities and stuff. So it's been a long time coming, but yeah, the other one came swiftly afterwards, so I was happy with that.
And that must give you a bit of confidence now going forward that you've done that first one, then you've got your second, and now you can just go on.
Yeah, definitely. I think I'm speaking to a lot of people at the club. I try and take advice from a lot of people around me, and they're full of support. And now I've kind of got my first one in. I can kind of relax a little bit now and not be too in my head about it. But I am playing a little bit deeper than I usually would, so I have to take into consideration so many other things. But no, I'm really happy with it.
Well, Carrie, thanks so much for joining us today. We won't keep you too much longer, but really interesting conversation. I love talking about like different leagues and exploring that on the show. So thanks so much for joining us.
No, thanks for having me.
Cheers, Carrie. Good luck.
Now, the transition from player to manager isn't always an easy one, but our next guest has now managed both domestically and internationally with great success. Tanya Oxtoby joins us now. Hi, Tanya.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Yourself?
Very well, thanks. Thanks for coming in for us today.
Thanks for having me.
So talk to me about that transition from player to manager then. Like, what is that like? Because I think a lot of people might think it's quite straightforward, but it's not an easy transition, is it?
It's not. I think for me, I sort of started my coaching journey when I was playing, and I did start it just because I didn't have any female role models in terms of my coaching journey. So, I got my badges while I was still playing. I think it made me a better player because I was very average. So at least that way I could understand the game. But I just enjoyed coaching more towards the end of my career than I did playing, and it just became a natural transition for me to move into that space as opposed to sort of battering my body every week. It was better to start directing and instructing other people. But I love it. I think for me, I loved going to sessions and taking sessions, and probably not so much, joining in sessions. And I think that was probably really key for me to know that it was time to move out of one space and into another one, and haven't really looked back since, to be honest.
I've been doing, there's a group of us in the Irish team that are doing our B licence right now, and we have dragged this on for nearly years. But it's hard trying to get everyone in together and so on. But what I've found is, from being a player to then being on the grass as a coach, I'm like, there is so much to it, and I'm like, how do you control this? How do you deliver this? So for me, I don't think the coaching is going to go so well. But did you find that? How did you find that?
Yeah, I think when you're a player, you only think about yourself, right? Like, and making sure that you're prepped and ready and that everything is, I suppose, optimal for yourself and for your teammates. Coaching and managing is like chaotic. There's so much going on. And I think for me, it was letting go of controlling everything, like, because you can't. I think the flexibility and the ability to adapt and, I suppose, roll with the punches a little bit, that's like the key, I think, to good management, because what you plan at the start of the session doesn't look anything like what it looks like at the end, because so many curveballs sort of come your way. And it's, rolling with what's put in front of you, whether that's limited player numbers, or maybe the session hasn't progressed the way you want, or maybe, what you were expecting in a window doesn't look like that anymore in terms of international space. So it's trying to be flexible and adapt. Whereas I think as a player, it's more structured and you're very much in control of everything.
Also, as a manager, how do you like to go about your business in terms? I find this really fascinating, because I feel like you've got managers that are like, this is what I'm doing, this is my beliefs, this is my system, my philosophy, and you get other managers that are maybe like, I'll adapt to the players that I've got. Where do you fit into that?
I reckon my players would answer this question probably differently to me, but I would say I've got an ideal way that I'd like to play and an ideal sort of system and, environment, but football is not that. So I think if you go in and you're very fixed about what it is that you want to do and how you want to do it, you're putting round pegs in square holes. So I think there's got to be an element of flexibility there. For me, I've got like non-negotiables that I won't compromise on, but realistically, you've got to look at the squad you've got to look at the players' strengths that you've got at your disposal, and possibly the areas that need development, and you need to work with that. So it's, what it looks like, on a day-to-day basis or a week, 10-day camp. It's probably not what it would ideally look like for me, in a perfect world, but coaching's not perfect. So you've got to be flexible and adapt for sure.
And you've managed at both club level and international level. Are there any differences in how you manage those different teams?
Yeah, I think when you're in a club environment, the players are contracted to you and you get to work with them every single day, and influence them every single day. When you're an international manager, you're borrowing club players, essentially. And I think you're hoping that you can build relationships with the clubs to help develop those players and influence, I suppose, the areas that you would like to see, improved. And when we get them, we have them for such a limited time. You might get maybe 3 sessions max before you're playing a competitive fixture. Like, that's really, really difficult. There's loads of differences, but it's the relationships you build with the club managers, for me, that is the key piece, because at the end of the day, we both club and country want the best version of player, essentially, and it's how we work together to do that. That's the most important thing, because a happy player and a player that's playing well benefits both club and country, in my opinion.
Yeah. And you said about developing players there, and you're someone that's known for identifying and developing young talent. There are quite a few WSL players at the moment, like Katie Robinson, Ebony Salmon, who you identified and developed as players. What is it that you look for in young players and you're like, yeah, I want to work with them?
I think when you're looking at younger players, there's always, the raw talent's always there. I think everybody can see that. But for me, it's then about the mindset, and do they want to be the best version of themselves? That for me is really important, because as coaches, we want to improve players, but they have to want to improve too. And the players that you've mentioned there, they all wanted to reach their potential, and my job is to help them do that. So I think there's raw talent, and there's, sort of trying to be able to identify if they've got something. But also I think it's about making sure that they understand their accountability piece within that and their responsibility too. And if they're in and they're all in, then I'm all in. And I think that's, you can go a long way when you're both on the same page and you're aligned in that space.
Yeah. How is football progressing in Northern Ireland? So obviously similar to Republic of Ireland in terms of the league. It's not professional, so you're seeing a lot of players maybe come to England or go abroad to try and get better. What's the talent like coming through in Ireland right now, and how is the league going?
It's really exciting. The younger players are really exciting, and I think you see that with some of the squad selections that have made in recent times. The younger players that are coming through, we talk about growth mindset. They are really thirsty to challenge themselves, and I think the league in Northern Ireland is a great breeding ground for that, because they're having to play senior football week in, week out, and I think that we need that. As a start point. I think one of the things we've tried to challenge the players on is when the time is right, when they feel that they're ready on and off the pitch, that we try and find the right environment for them to help progress and continue their development. And part of my job is to try and educate them on that, because younger players might just see, a club symbol and be offered a contract and think that that's great, but actually it might not be the right fit for them. So it's trying to, I suppose, really educate them, and obviously their parents as well, around where that sits and how we can make sure they keep progressing, because they still need to be playing minutes, but they need to be in environments that are going to give them, holistically what they need to continue to develop.
What do you see as like an international manager? So you've got a younger player coming through, maybe they're playing in Northern Ireland, they might have then transitioned over to England. They're not playing a lot of minutes.
Yeah.
I've got this kind of, obviously being a player myself and being there and done that, and seeing the younger ones coming through, but I'm kind of like, I feel like some players still have to come over and get a taste of it to see what it's like, and then they might need to go away and work on themselves. How do you see that? Are you happy going, well, they're there, they're training, it's a better level, or would you rather them playing minutes? How do you look at that from
it's a really interesting one. I think it's about getting the balance, and I think we're in that space at the moment, if I'm honest. I think we've got a number of players that have come across, they're in different environments now, but they're not getting as many minutes as maybe they would have when they were in Northern Ireland. The training that they're obviously, is more frequent, the volume's higher, the intensity's probably higher. But it's allowing their bodies time to build into that too, because we're seeing a number of our players struggle physically when they're jumping from sort of home-based leagues into the full-time environments. But also it's about mindset, because, it's trying to educate them on, well, you wanted a challenge. You wanted to come over here and test yourself, or you wanted to play in Scotland or wherever it is that you've chosen. It's not going to be easy. And you have to embrace that. You have to earn your place. You have to, I suppose, really think about the areas you want to get better at and be okay with that as well. And I think that's healthy, to be honest. But we're in that kind of cycle at the moment where we've had a number of players move and they're not getting as many minutes as what they would like. Training, like I said, volume and intensity is probably at a good level, which is okay, but it's then managing them when they come into camp, because again, we know the jump, right, between sort of domestic leagues and international. So it's trying to manage that and make sure that we're across that in the best possible way.
Amazing. You're quite lucky. You've got a good player in your team in Simone McGill.
Yeah.
Hopefully, she gives me £20 for saying that.
Only 20?
Maybe more. But she's quite tight.
Hit her up more.
She is quite tight. So,
and some coffees as well, I reckon. Yeah.
And also, I just wanted to ask you as well about, you touched upon it there a little bit, but like the pressures of being a young player, maybe thrust into an environment that there is no like life training for, is there? We see it a lot, maybe more in the men's game, where like the money is so much bigger that, you have these young players that are suddenly exposed to all these things that they've never been exposed to before, and their families as well. How do you kind of manage that? Like you were saying, kind of, if you're like, well, I don't think that contract is right for you, but they're kind of so excited by the prospect of money or a contract or the perks that come with it.
It's their choice at the end of the day. I think my job, I'm just there to guide them and ask questions to get them to think about the environment they're going to, the support they've got around them. Provoke some thinking is basically my role in that. But at the end of the day, it's their choice. It's their career. They have to make that decision themselves. But we've also got brilliant senior players in and around our group that have played at the highest level, and they play a pivotal role in that education piece as well, because it's one thing for your manager to be saying it, but it's another thing for your peers to say it. So, for me, the likes of Simone McGill, Laura Rafferty, I ask them to get around those players and really have a conversation with them about their own experiences and what they've gone through, and maybe some of the pitfalls and things that they need to think about. And obviously that's a lot more powerful than anything that I can say. You know, my job's probably more with the parents as well, and sort of saying, you know, just have a think about this and have you considered that, you know, and for me, it's about making sure the match is right. So what is the club going to do to help develop that player, and what is the player going to bring to that club in terms of making them better? And if that match is, you know, seems like it's good on paper, then it's just working through the logistics around that.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Well, Tanya, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
So from the field to freestyle, our next guest is the Freestyle Football World Champion. So hopefully we can learn a trick or two from Leah Lewis. How are you?
I'm great, thank you. I actually didn't bring my ball with me for the first time. I don't have it. I can't do any skills right now.
I mean, I have been following you on socials and watching you. I mean, I can't even kick a ball like in the right direction. That's how terrible I am. I like watching football, that's about it. But I just don't know how you do the backflips with the ball and you like keep it on your foot. Like how do you even start?
It's so different to football. To be honest, like even though football is in the term, it's like a completely different sport. I've never played football myself. I did 18 years of dancing, ballet, contemporary, jazz, and then I went to conservatoire to become a professional dancer and it didn't work out. So I was like, I'm gonna learn how to kick a ball. But I've never played football. I love watching it as well, like you. But I'm just not. When the ball is on the floor, I have no idea what to do, because the whole point with freestyle football is keeping it up in the air and trying to be as creative as possible. Because with freestyle, it's like never ending sport. There's more tricks to learn, more to do. So I think that's the aim constantly for every freestyler, is to try and be creative and learn new tricks and create new tricks.
At what point, though, you've been in dance, at what point did you think, I'm going to get a ball involved here? Like, that's so fascinating.
I think I lost my head, to be honest with you. I have no idea what came through my mind. I think, so I wanted to do something completely different. I'd done dancing all my life, and I think I was sort of rebelling, to be honest with you, because dancing didn't work out for me. But I was 21 and I was at the stage where I didn't know what to do. And it was either going into a completely different degree, either like criminology, I think I was thinking of doing, or trying to become a performer, but in a different avenue. So I think I came across freestyle football on social media. I saw videos and then did my own research. And I was like, I'm going to become a world champion. But I think, I don't know, 21, I was kind of like, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. So yeah, I fell into it by accident a bit.
It's amazing though, to go from like obviously playing football myself, like can do a few keepy ups or whatever, but to then go from not playing football, being a dancer, to then mastering a football, doing tricks and stuff like that. How long does it take, like dedication? How often do you practice a day?
When I started, it was it was all day. It was honestly because I wasn't like exercising like I do now. Nowadays, if I'm training, it's like maximum 3 hours because I'm just shattered. But at the start, I was learning kick-ups and just the simple tricks. So I was really training all day. I took a year off, so I wasn't really working and I was just focusing on freestyling. So around like, I don't know, 5-8 hours a day I was training at the start. But I was completely obsessed with it. I was so passionate about it, and I had like a clear vision that I wanted to become one of the best in the sport. So I think that kind of drove me to keep training a lot.
So you're very big on visualization, I would say.
I think so, yeah. I think so at the start, especially because I was so lost. Like I had no goals. I went from training every day as a dancer to realizing that actually I'm probably not going to have a career in dancing. It's really competitive. You have to be at like a super, super high level. And I found it really hard mentally because it was all about how you look, your body image, what you eat. And it's just not in my personality to be stressing over these things. So I loved with freestyle that I could just let go. Like there was no one to tell me how I was supposed to look or what's right or wrong. Any trick I did was like a right trick because there was no wrong. So I think the freedom with freestyle is what I loved the most. And now that I've kind of achieved these goals, I became world champion. But I became world champion so quickly, like after 3 years. I wasn't ready for it, but it happened because anything can happen in freestyle competitions. Like if your opponent makes the ball drop, if she's nervous, you can easily win a battle even if you're not the best technically. So it's it plays off nothing, basically.
Interesting.
And you said there that, like, you know, you were quite lost and trying to like find yourself. Do you see, like, I guess freestyle football as like a form of expression? Is that kind of, did that help you, like, I guess, find your voice again? Because as well, you have like over 6 million followers on social media. So you obviously have something that people connect with and you're able to like put your message out there. Do you know what I mean?
I would say it's a form of expression, but also with dancing, it was as well a form of expression. But I think it's more of an easy way for me to kind of forget about everything, in the sense that with dancing, it was a lot of categories, ticking boxes. And in freestyle, even though you say that I've got like millions of followers, I love the fact that I can inspire girls out there, and if I can put my videos out there and show that there's more than just dancing, because I mean, I think times are different now, but when I grew up, there was no option to play football or rugby or any of the manly sports. It was, you know, dancing. That was the only option. So I really love the fact that social media is a way to show what else is out there and hopefully get more girls and boys involved in freestyle football. But I would definitely say that I'm like almost obsessed in what I do, and I don't really think about what other people think, but I think that's more just a way of me to cope with training, because it can get quite intense a lot. So I kind of like shut down a little bit.
See, in terms of training, like you're working towards like a major competition, do you follow a schedule, a program? What does that look like?
At the start, I was following a schedule in the sense that I was training way too much. But I kind of had to realize, like after winning the World Championships in 2021, freestyle was my whole life. And then I wanted to have a career as well. So I started doing more social media and doing more shoots, and, you know, there's the athlete side of it, but then there's also the career side of it. So I was focusing a bit less on like training 8 hours a day and more of like, how can I make a living for myself and a career out of freestyle, because it would be amazing. I love freestyle so much, the same way that I love dancing so much, but I can make a career out of dancing. So I was focusing a bit more on that after the competitions. And then I think I've heard it so much with even at like, how do you say, guys who compete at Olympics, how do you say?
Olympians?
Yeah, Olympians. I'm half French, so my words get confused. Yeah. But I think Olympians also, they experience it when they win something, and then it's so hard to get back into it because you don't know what the next goal is. And it's just like, oh, well, now I have to get back into the studio. And it's quite isolating when you're trained by yourself every day, all day long. So I kind of had to find different goals, even though I love to compete and I want to become world champion again, but I also need to balance what my life looks like outside of competitions. And I tried to compete this year. I went to the European champs and I just couldn't do it. I had like a mental block and I froze and I had to pull out of the competition. And it's absolutely fine because I came out of it and I reassessed everything, and I'm planning again for what my future looks like, for what the next competitions look like, and I feel so much more confident now. And it's like I have to listen to myself and I have to listen to my body, know what's right or wrong. So yeah, I don't really set myself because it's still a brand new sport, and it's not like you have a coach or you have a team or you have people to help you when you're down. So it's a lot of having to discover these things by yourself. And yeah, there's no real way to becoming like an athlete in freestyle football, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. And unfortunately, we're out of time today. But Leah, I would love to sit and talk to you all day. I could listen to you speak all day, but thank you so much. We'll have to get you back in here next time with the ball, teach us a few things.
Yeah,
thanks
this could be an idea. You could
Shaban
teach
is
me a
back
routine.
fit.
Shaban might be a lost cause at it.
She
No,
might.
you never know. You never know. You could be a good teacher too.
But
so
thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you so much.
And finally, last week, talkSPORT's Amelia Beltrao sat down with Olympic medalist Georgia Hunter-Bell to chat through what training and racing against Keely Hodkinson looks like and her inspiring comeback story.
Thank you, Georgia, for coming in. So, silver medalist at the World Championships. Has that sunk in yet properly? And what's the reception been like since you've been home?
It's sunk in a little bit. I think it was such a blur, the finish of the race. Like, you go and you do your lap of honour, you do media, you do anti-doping. Then we went straight over to a karaoke night out and then we flew back the next morning. So it is a bit of a whirlwind, but it's been really nice coming home and just seeing everyone and catching up with friends and family. But we're kind of in this funny point in the season where we're not fully done yet. There's one more race left. So we've been enjoying ourselves, but then we've also been training alongside it.
Yeah, I did notice you got to go to a film premiere as well when you got back.
Yeah, so it's like a fun time of year where you actually get to take those offers up, because most of the season, obviously, you're racing, you're being really strict on yourself, and now it's like, okay, the hard work is done, you can have a bit of fun. So yeah, I went to the Matthew McConaughey premiere of The Lost Bus the other day, which is an amazing movie. Nice to get dressed up and not just be in running clothes all the time.
That's nice. We always love putting on heels every now and again.
Yeah.
You are, of course, very good friends with Keely, both on and off the track. And how weird was it beating her during that race? But also, how much do you value that friendship in terms of its ability to push / inspire you on the track?
Yeah, it's an interesting situation, I understand, but for us it just works really well. We're very good friends off the track. You know, we had lunch together on the finals day. I'm staying at her house when we go to South Africa for training in a couple of weeks. Was with her yesterday, so we have a really nice off-track relationship, but obviously when we line up on the start line, every top athlete believes they can win, and she will have definitely been thinking that day, and I was as well. And so it's these big moments where you have to really just believe in yourself. So it's a little bit different. You know, I usually do the 1500 metres, and this year I've been crossing over into the 800 a bit more. But it's exciting, I think, more than anything, for us as a team, for M11, our training group. The idea of getting 2 athletes on the podium was just the coolest thing. And for us to do a British 2-3, that's the first time that's happened in 18 years where you've had 2 British athletes on the podium together. So hopefully something that the UK can get really excited about, and we'll be racing each other for the next few years.
It was really exciting to see. Let's go back to what you mentioned there. You did miss out on doing the 1500 metre, which obviously was a really tough decision. What was it that cemented that you shouldn't be doing it? Was it your team? Was it Dame Kelly Holmes? Or I heard a rumour maybe ChatGPT got involved in that?
Yeah, we had to make a decision about whether I would do the 1500 metres, 800 metres or the double, because the schedule did accommodate for the double. Last year I got a bronze in Paris in the 1500 metres. But I kind of felt this year that I was responding better to the 800 metre training. So we were just looking at the events, like looking at the competition and thinking where would the best chance possibly be to get a medal and upgrade from that bronze last year. We had a very divided camp. Like, my 2 coaches were divided. One of them thought I should do the double. One of them thought I should just do the 800. My husband thought I should do the 800, and yeah, we thought, we're asking so many people at this point, why don't we ask ChatGPT and see what it says? So we ran it through there, and they said to just pick, you know, one event as doing the double was feasible but risky, and not that it was down to ChatGPT, but we're happy in the end. I'm very happy that I went with that decision, but it was a lot of back and forth for a few months.
And I'm sure one of the caveats that we have heard a lot about as to you coming to that decision was the fact the stadium was so far from your training track.
Yeah.
As athletes, how difficult was it, both physically as well as mentally, in terms of being able to prepare for your race, the fact that it was so far from the stadium?
Yeah, I mean, it's something that hasn't really been seen before. Like in Paris last year, for example, the warm-up track is right next to the Olympic Stadium, so you can literally hop to and from very easily, and that really helps with stuff like recovery between the rounds, getting physio. But now having to factor in, okay, you're going to be getting on a bus to travel 20 minutes, like it impacts your warm-up, it impacts making sure that you're regulated, because it was absolutely boiling in Tokyo, super humid. But then when you get on the bus, it's air conditioned. So just small things like that, making sure that you're staying healthy. But luckily we were towards the end of the schedule, so we had all the other events work it out for us and give us the feedback before heading in, so we were prepared.
You definitely don't have the most conventional route to becoming silver medalist, Olympic bronze medalist, because you actually quit the sports after uni. Talk to me about that and how difficult it was to come to that decision and just the whole process of falling out of love with the sport.
Yeah, I think I have a maybe interesting story, or different to the traditional path, in that I was a very good junior, won lots of competitions from our English schools, British University Championships, and went to the US on a full track scholarship, anticipating that I would just make it as an Olympian. That wasn't the case. I had lots of injuries and never kind of fulfilled my potential that I'd shown as a junior. So I did quit when I was 23, went into the working world and thought I would never step on a track again. But through COVID and other things, I got back into sport and then worked my way back and got in contact with my old coach. And yeah, he's my coach today. He coaches me in Keeley, and he obviously knows what he's doing. So it is a very non-standard path, but it's something that I'm quite passionate about, because so many girls do drop out of sport, be that as teenagers, be that as they go into their early 20s. And it makes me think, you know, I was part of that statistic that dropped out, and I've been on to be an Olympic medalist and world medalist. So how many other future Olympians in the UK are dropping out of sport for whatever reason? So it's something that I'm really interested in, trying to get more girls both sticking with the sport and back into sports that they used to do.
Yeah, you briefly mentioned it there. Let's talk about that comeback and what happened during COVID that inspired you to get back on the track.
Yeah, I mean, it was a gradual build. I think for most people, it looks like an overnight success, but like most overnight successes, it's like years and years and years of work in the making. But when I graduated, I was very much done with running. Took a good year to just not do any running, you know, gained a little bit of weight, just became a normal non-athlete, basically. And then after a year, I was like, you know what, I actually really miss running. Like, it's such a huge part of my identity. I've been doing it since I was a kid. So I gradually got back into it, did some park runs, started to get the competitive juices flowing a little bit, because I was like, oh, maybe I'll go faster next week, or maybe I can try and break this barrier. Then lockdown comes around. There's nothing you can do but exercise. You know, moved back home with mum and dad. Was looking for any opportunity to get out of the house or exercise. And suddenly I found my fitness really came back. I did a lot of stuff on the bike as well as running. And then that's what led me to get back in contact with Trev, my old coach. I knew he was coaching this superstar called Keeley. And then I watched the Tokyo Olympics and saw Keeley get a silver medal at 19 years old and just thought, wow, Trev's still doing amazing stuff. He knows what he's doing. I wonder if he'd coach me again. And he did take my call and said, you know, would you want to work together again? I'm still working a full-time job, so it will all be around training. And then it was only last year with the Olympics coming up that I thought, I need to just go all in here and see if I can make the Olympics. And obviously I'm very happy that I decided to do that.
So that was literally 4 years ago.
I know, yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
crazy comeback.
I know, yeah. And last year was the first time that I became a professional athlete at 30 years old. So it's not the most traditional path that you would think, but actually we're seeing that athletes now are going on into their 30s, doing amazing things, like not just in our sport. 3 of the 5 medalists from Tokyo for Team GB were 30 or over. But if you look across sports like Tom Brady, LeBron, Djokovic, like the list goes on of people that are actually hitting their peak or continuing to be at the top of the world in that bracket. And so I think that's kind of interesting, because it's not necessarily what people would think.
So for you, the season's not done yet.
No.
No, you are off to New York with Keeley and Amy Hunt. You're going to the Athlos track meets.
Yeah.
It's a women's only event, which as of this year now has a world record bonus available up for grabs.
Yeah.
Just talk to me about how exciting it is to be a part of this kind of event.
It's so exciting. It's always interesting when you get new leagues set up within the sport. It's great for athletes, great for financial opportunities, exposure, and it's really fun that it's at the end of the season because it's very much like you get the top tier of athletes, so Olympians, Olympic champions, medalists, but then we're also there to enjoy ourselves at the end of the season. So yeah, Alexis Ohanian is really interested in boosting women's sport. You know, he's done a recent investment into Chelsea FC, so the fact that he's pivoted also over to track and field is really cool. He's married to Serena Williams, she's going to be there. And it's just amazing to show that support for athletes, but then also give us this platform to not only perform well, but yeah, have some fun and grow that community together. I think it's ending with a Sierra concert at the end.
We love that.
So it's such a fun way to end the season.
Obviously, it sounds like a really fun event and quite obvious being able to go to New York at this time of year for you.
Definitely.
But how have the preparations been for it? Can we expect a little bit more British success before the end of the year?
I hope so. So there's 6 of us in the race. So the British contingent is 2/3 of it. So with me and Keely, it will be my 24th race of the year. So I'm definitely, you know, have put in the work this year. I don't know if it will be world record pace, but that bonus is really nice. And, you know, in Tokyo, it was such a fast race. And we have a lot of the same people that were in Tokyo at World Championships in the race. So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Well, fingers crossed. And final one from me. Shaban, our lovely host of The Kickback, she's now looking to do a marathon.
Oh, amazing.
So, God bless her, I couldn't do it. But do you have any tips for her and her training?
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot of respect for people that have done a marathon. My race is literally less than 2 minutes. So the thought of running for 4+ hours or however long it takes is yeah, a lot of respect for those people. I think the main thing is don't increase your training too much. I think people sign up for a marathon and they go from doing, you know, 5 miles a week to then running 30+ miles a week, and that's how you get injured. So the main thing is you don't want to be injured. So gradual increase, make sure you're taking care of your body and resting and recovering as well as all the hard training.
Georgia, thank you so much for joining me. I've thoroughly enjoyed this chat with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So that's all that we've got time for today. Thank you, Ruesha, for being here. Thanks for putting up with me in the hot seat. Thanks, Leah, for being here. And thank you to all of our previous guests as well. Don't forget, you can follow talkSPORT Women's Football on YouTube, on TikTok and on Instagram. Please go like, subscribe. Really helps the show. And we'll catch you next time, hopefully with Shaban back with us.